Hello everyone.
Hey guys.
It is episode 3 for Between Two Shirts, making sure that we are set. If you're listening to this on YouTube, how do we look?
Hello. We look a little bit Central American, don't we, today?
I feel like absolute crap. My nose is blocked, so forgive me if I sound like Elmo.
We've both been partying way too hard, haven't we?
I wish it was party.
Yeah, I know, so do I.
It's just having kids and then catching all these random colds.
It's fun.
We are doing good. A timer has started. How are you? You good?
Good, man. We got our coffees here, man. We need to get our coffees in the
All right,
shots.
get your coffees. You've set every camera off its focus point right now.
Let's hope it's still okay.
Thank
Here's
you.
yours.
I've got an
Thanks
almond latte. Did you get almond?
Yeah, I did get.
Oh, good.
I got you covered, man.
That would have ruined our friendship from the start.
I know your coffee order better than the barista, mate. Let's be honest.
So yeah, how's things? What's new since the last episode?
Oh, there's a bit been going on. I think the Aussies seem to be pumping on all cylinders now, which is good. Obviously, you know, we saw Harry Sutar move to Leicester during the week.
He did score an own goal, but we're not like the press here when it comes to like Rupert Murdoch media. We don't always go for negative, but
No,
he
true.
did. Yeah, he's in the Premier League.
Hey, he's there. That is like
That's amazing.
I can't like who was the last
Aaron Moy
Aussie
or
centre
Matt
back?
Ryan.
No, but
centre
centre
back.
back. Was it like a Lucas Neal? Or probably the last.
Craig Moore.
Yeah, probably Craig Moore. There's probably a few others
Is
as
there
well.
more? I forgot. Centre backs.
Yeah. But it's good, like regardless, you know, off the back of what an amazing World Cup campaign. Speaking of World Cup, obviously Women's World Cup, Ali Carpenter made her return as well this week. Amazing after post ACL, which is huge. You know, that's
no matter who it is, no matter what like career wise you are.
Yeah.
Like I know Ibrahimovic is a whole different story.
Yeah.
Came back after 2 weeks, but Ali Carpenter is back, and I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, it's crazy and good on her. Like it's, you know, a few months out of the World Cup, which is assuming that she's playing, she's raring to go. So I think give her a few more months to get some match fitness. It should be
There's
amazing.
so much attention to Sam Kerr being at Chelsea, and no disrespect to Sam Kerr and anyone playing in their Barclays.
Yeah.
But it's so good to see someone like Ali Carpenter, you know, play Champions League football at Lyon, and she's doing amazing. So it's good to see her back.
Oh man, yeah, she's incredible, and like she's probably like let's be honest, she's extremely young still. Yes, Sam Kerr gets the highlights, and maybe it is because she's a striker and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
the output that you get out of Ali Carpenter on her, you know, even on a bad day, it is like we saw through the Olympics, probably the last major comp from the women's. Man, she is a weapon. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very glad that she's back and ready for the World Cup.
Back in the UK, we've got Jimmy Jago back in, not back in Scotland. He's playing in Scotland, doing really well. The fans are loving him. And Riley McGree, Middlesbrough's finest saucy boy.
Yeah, wow, what an assist that he got. I think it was yesterday. Man, well, it'd be this weekend, say. That is one of those passes that you just like, you're on different levels. You know, this guy's got that little bit of like, oh yeah, got a bit of sauce on this. Chuck it on the side. See you
Talking
later.
about sauce, and I love a good spicy Jamaican sauce. Today at Ultra Football, we are now launching the Jamaica 2023 jersey home and away. I'm wearing the away. Paul's wearing the home.
Yes.
First initial thoughts, how does it feel on you?
Feels good. I've got the Aero ready on, so this is the fan version.
Yep.
I actually kind of like it. I know we always talk about like the drastic differences between the two shirts, like the player and fan or Aero and
Aero,
ready.
yeah.
But even, you know, to wear the fan version, it's actually very comfortable. Probably doesn't, you know, breathe and perform as well as what obviously the fan version, the player version would. But I think it's cool. Like it's a pretty good looking kit. Like I don't mind a yellow kit, to be honest with you. So I do like it.
It's always funny when we look at yellow kits that aren't Australian, and we look at them and it's like, geez, the Aussie kit could have been like that. So it's good to see a bit of, you know, creative aspects to it. When we talk about creative aspects, I'm not really good at segues lately, but not the motorized vehicle that you sent me a photo of, but so this is the jersey that was leaked at the Paris fashion show. It was a bit of a rumor going on that Jamaica was acquiring the three stripes, and it's so good to see them go to the three stripes. I think a country like Jamaica, who has a proud history, I feel like it's good to sort of get their identity back in the football spectrum. They were with, and I've got stats here, I think it was 7 manufacturers before Adidas.
Yeah, wow.
And the most notable one was Kappa, of course.
They had a good stint in the 90s with Kappa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course, 90s being the sort of extra scene days where, you know, we get creative with our kids. But it's good to see Adidas acquiring both Italy last week and now the Jamaica shirt. There's the big things happening at Adidas.
Yeah, it seems to be like, you know, they're the place to go or the manufacturer to be with at the moment. It's interesting how it sort of goes in waves, right? Like you look at, say, like 2004, 2006, everyone was with Nike, Total 90, that whole era.
Yeah.
And it kind of like fluctuates here and there. Then, you know, I think like 2006, Puma kind of made a bit of a spike at the World Cup. And and then it kind of drops off again, and now obviously Addies kind of seems to be peaking at the moment.
Well, like I said, it is available at Ultra Football as of this week. So the both home and away in Era Ready can be found online and in store both in Melbourne and Sydney. Look, my first thoughts when I saw this, I saw the name set on the back on the leaks, and I saw what is Wales Boner, and I was like, okay, I got to check this out. So it's a designer, English born in the UK, of Jamaican heritage.
Yeah.
Has done some amazing things with Adidas for Adidas Originals. Did you see that campaign pre-World Cup with Jude Bellingham wearing that sort of tracksuit? That was designed by her.
Okay, cool.
So it's really good to see that they've stuck to that, and the fact that she's got Jamaican heritage
That
was
is cool.
so good.
Yeah, okay, so she has Jamaican heritage as well.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
She's
Okay,
Jamaican
that's good.
background living in the UK.
I like that they collabed with a designer that's got that. At least there's a connection there, right? And I'm sure that there's more to like the design and why she's chosen, these sort of elements and all that sort of stuff. So, which is great. And, like anything, right? You always want it to connect to the country somehow. So I found it interesting that, the whole Paris fashion release, because you think of Jamaica from a footballing sense. And, I know they love football as a country. So, that aside, I know it's a big part of their culture. They're not a big footballing nation. They're not a successful footballing nation. Why such a big push for Jamaica?
Well, they have Jamaicans are well known for the music, of course, thanks to the one and only, Bob Marley. So, Three Birds, everything is inspired clubs like Ajax.
And there's a lot of others as well, obviously.
Yeah,
a lot of artists.
The food, the fashion, the scene of the Caribbean, and anything to do with Jamaica is, it's just unique in its own way.
Yeah.
Funny enough, so we'll talk about the home and away, but quickly I want to say a few more things about this. The biggest complaint on social media was why they're so plain. Why are those jerseys so clean and why are they so simple? And I thought to myself, that is a big question.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to Jamaican heritage, it's a lot more than to go above and over and above in a sense of like creativity. I think the simplicity of both these shirts can speak to more than just the nation. It's a lot more, and I dug deep into it, and it's so good to see. But the pinstripes is referencing a lot of the music from the early, I think it was like 60s, 70s.
Yeah, cool.
The pinstripes was an iconic outfit choice. So it's good to see that, and a simple shirt. And of course, then this is, the colorway is known as night brown, and it's got a bit of a bone white combination.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of Rastafarian to it, both of them.
I actually really like that kit. It's funny because in person, when I looked at the images from online,
it's bland.
I thought it looked very basic. I thought it almost looked a bit like the German national team kit, and I was like, yeah, cool, like template vibe, whatever. But looking at it in person, it's actually really good, and all the colors tie in really nicely.
Yeah.
So I think great kit, and then I think with this one, I don't know. I feel like it's. I'm always a bit skeptical of a pinstripe kit. I think it can look a little bit, like 1920s mafia mobster suit kind of vibe, right? But this I actually really like, and yellow and green is very hard to do.
Yeah.
You look at say if you Google search like the most ugly kits of all time, I think Norwich feature in like most of those lists.
And the spew kits and
correct,
kits.
right? And they're hard to match.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to work. It doesn't just fly off the tongue like that easily.
It's funny when you say about the green and gold kits, like you do see the Socceroos and you do see Brazil. But the best part about the Jamaica home shirt that I like on yours is like even the side here on your sleeves, you got nice little black rings around the sleeves, and it's two of them. So it's connecting to the three stripes there on the shoulder blades, and of course on the neckline. It's perfect. One more thing about the way shirt that I really like is they've gone for a monochromatic badge on the shirt.
Very cool.
Which is so good to see at an international level because, of course, one more thing people forget and people that don't really understand the kit scene is that when it comes to international levels, there's less creativity allowed in their shirts. I think that's why a lot of people like the USA and Australia get away with it because Nike has a stronger push for this. But you look at the Germany kits for the World the German kit and even like the Japanese kit for the World Cup and the Mexican, Adidas did it. But I feel like when they start off simple, like the Italy and the Jamaica ones, it just gives them space to get creative in the next couple of months and years of releases,
Yeah, I think proof of this is like, you see a lot of teams, they'll drop like a training kit. And they did exactly with this.
Leak?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the training kit is always like a lot more extreme, a lot more out there. The design's a lot more elaborate. The one that they've used for the training kit for Jamaica is not too different to actually the shirt that you're wearing, but it's got like a bit more of like, I'm going to say indigenous. I don't know if that's the right choice of words, but it is like a painting style repeated pattern kind of through the base layer. And it is really cool. One thing I did actually see, and it was leaked on, I think, Footy Headlines. I don't know if I can mention that on this show, but it wasn't via this channel, so that's fine. They had a jacket with the same, so that training shirt has this pattern, and you go and check it out. Yeah, it's cool. It is, and the jacket's reversible, which is cool. So essentially, you go from like this home kit style jacket to the training kit style jacket, which is really cool. And then I think the player that I saw wearing it had it like flipped with the yellow side under, and it looks really cool seeing the yellow come through the collar. I was like, yeah, bit of
Yeah, look, again, like the country itself has a lot of history when it comes to the footballing side of things, when it comes to off the pitch and on the pitch. Of course, the women's team will be here in Australia for the Women's World Cup this year in 2023. Really exciting. It's funny, I was looking at the stats, but it's not much. The Jamaican national team hasn't done really much to, turn heads. Like we look at countries around the world, like Ecuador and stuff.
Yeah.
They've performed in World Cups, and it's just so good to see a country like Jamaica hoping to push the scene in the future.
Yeah.
I did watch them a couple of years. I think it was last year when they played against the US national team, and it's always like the underdog story for them.
Yeah.
So I do hope to see the women's team come to Australia and dominate, and this kit being represented perfectly well.
Yeah.
And I think the Italy jersey will be also represented by the women's team here too. So it's good to see Adidas has got a bit of their hand in the pie for two World Cup kits this year in Australia.
They have done well, haven't they? I think it's always hard to like you look at like historically where the country's been on the football scale or football like like hierarchy, and they've only really made one World Cup, I think, which was 1998.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going through like their squad from that era, and they've got like 4 or 5, actually probably more. I think it was probably say close to 6 or 8 players that were playing like top tier football, and then a bulk of the rest of the squad was playing still in Jamaica. I think I was having a look actually at some like the most high profile Jamaican players of all time, or players with Jamaican heritage. One that completely like I did not realise was Captain Morgan from Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I had no idea. And I call him Captain Morgan because I like that.
Yeah.
The drink colour. But
there's one more player in the Premier League that's high profile, that's Jamaican background, but he's moved to the UK, similar to what the designer is.
Oh wait, Sterling? No.
Yeah, Sterling.
Oh, it is Sterling. Okay,
Sterling's Jamaican born.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so Raheem is basically like one of the most, if not high-profile Jamaican players. But of course, he's chosen England to be the country that he represents in the national
team.
level.
Yeah.
But there is football there. But I think with the big migration of the world now, like you're going to lose players. Like for me as a Macedonian, I've lost Kulusevski to Sweden, and I'm sure Ibrahimovic has left player like his country was it Bosnia.
Yeah, Bosnia. Yeah.
Correct, I think that's the biggest problem with countries like Jamaica. Is a lot of their talent pool go elsewhere. Either US, either in the UK, or anywhere in Europe.
And that's going to happen too, especially when you've gone through. Like I think Australia's probably a really good example, right? You go through the Balkans in the early '90s, right? They all migrate here. Then all of a sudden, the generation of the late '90s and early 2000s.
Now we've got the East African sides.
Yeah, correct, right? And the Croatian kind of influence and all that sort of stuff that we had through the national team. And now you're starting to see it with like other players that have now. We see it a lot in Australia specifically, right? There's sort of like generations of immigration of similar nationalities, right? Like we saw it, our parents' gen, right? Where there was a lot more European, like Greek, Italian, Macedonian, like yourself. And then obviously later on, it becomes a bit more like Afghan, Sudanese. There's a lot more African influence now. And you can see that coming through into the national team, right?
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that, maybe this is the blessing of the country that we live in, but I think it's going to happen all over the world. So wherever, if there's financial crisis or war or whatever it is, people and players are going to move around from country to country. So their origins are going to be somewhere that may be technically a minnow in terms of like footballing standards, but they may end up in an England or somewhere like.
Yeah.
And that probably answers my question too. Like I was asking before, why Jamaica? But maybe there is that bulk of Jamaican influenced people in the UK.
There is. So you saw the Arsenal warm-up jersey that they did with Adidas.
Correct,
so that was the green, gold, and black sort of trefoil that they had similar to the United.
Right.
So that was
cool.
That was connecting to the Jamaican heritage of London.
Yes.
So that's another thing that we see now in popular culture is the jersey representing more the minority within that group or within that state or that region. So it's good to see that Adidas has cemented their roots within the Jamaican heritage in the UK, but now globally they do have a jersey. What do you think about the jersey itself out of 10?
Ooh, out of 10? Jersey? I reckon, look, yellow's a hard one. I think for the one that I'm wearing, I'd probably give it maybe a 7 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I still think it's a really nice kit. I'm not like I wouldn't say it's probably one of the best Adidas kits or one of my favorite kits for the season, but it's definitely it's a nice kit.
I think colorway, it's perfect. I do like it. Again, I would definitely give that about a 7 or 8 out of 10. I think overall, the one thing that really makes me sad about some of these jerseys is how simple the templates are for Adidas and Nike.
Yeah.
If they had a little bit of unique approach to them, different story. But of course, when it comes to mass producing, these things have to sort of be differentiated between every country to make sure like every country is unique. But I do like the little pinstripes, and I think overall it's just perfect. This one, on the other hand, I do like the way. I think it's perfect choice. The brown does remind me of the Sampali brown. The bone marrow sort of white is a nice clean white. But I think the green and red detailing is what pops it.
Definitely. The cuff and the collar is, I think that's the...
I would have rather a big crew neck on this one. I reckon that would have been a lot more...
I don't mind the little overlapping collar. I think it looks nice.
It's iconic Adidas now. I've noticed.
It is a bit, isn't it? It's but I do think it is really nice. I think, what would you give that out of 10?
I'd give this a 9.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'm probably not going to go with 9. I reckon I'd give it an 8. But it's definitely one I'd go out and buy. Like, if you want something a bit more obscure that you're not really connected to a country or to a team.
I don't think they are offering a heat ready. So forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think if there was a heat ready, there'd be a little bit of a subtle detail within it.
Yeah.
Where would the number placement be on your one? Because there's a massive pinstripe right in the middle. Would it be
you would
too
assume
big?
it would have to
Would
be.
it overlap it?
Is it the same font as what the rest of the Addy kits are getting?
Depends. It depends on the tournament and stuff.
Okay.
I reckon this would look amazing if it actually had like a bone white sort of
match the rest of
like number 9 here, number 9 in the back with the name. I reckon this shirt would easily pop. I definitely want to check that out.
What was that? There was a German kit from like a year or two ago that had like really nice kit, and then they slapped a random color.
Yeah, it was the blackout kit that I have.
Yes,
and then it's just white. Just
and I get that there's got to be contrast, but that wasn't a great decision. And I feel like the name, like the font of that set,
too thin.
It just didn't look right. It didn't match the style of the kit. It was
the whole thing was just a mess.
Yeah.
That was a great Adidas kit. Talking about great Adidas kits. So before we started the next topic, like I said, these shirts are now available at Ultra Football, both Sud and Nord. Make sure to check them out online as well. And talking about Adidas kits of the past. Now, look, like I said, Adidas has taken over a lot of the countries. We're going to see a lot more. Who knows where else we'll go with the Adidas branding for national team shirts. What's your 3 favourite eras of Adidas shirts?
This was hard because I felt like it was hard not to pick something stereotypically like iconic kit of all time. But I looked back and I went through all the archives and I went through kits that I've had and I've experienced in person. And it's really hard. And a lot of them are template kits from that era, right? So, even right behind you, you've got the Addy kit that the Socceroos are wearing in that frame there. And that was one that I think just missed out on the cut for me. So, number 1, I've gone with Germany's Italia 90 kit. They won the World Cup in it. If you don't know which one I'm talking about, it's kind of got like that...
techno.
Yeah, the techno kind of style one. Yeah. Iconic kit, instant memories of like Lothar Matthäus, which we've got behind us here. The other one I've gone is Holland's Euro 88. Again, winning team. I think I always mention this, and like a kid's popularity and how much it's loved is almost always directly related to success. And that theory is completely contradicted by my third one, which is France's 1994 kit, which a lot of other teams had, which is the diamond pattern. And I don't think it's in any of these, actually.
No, it's not.
It's a diamond pattern design. You'll see it across a heap of Adidas countries, Spain, Argentina. I think if you remember that photo of Diego Maradona, there's like... But France, so I picked the France one because I love the French kit. Home or away, both of them actually really cool. But they didn't even qualify for USA 94. So
didn't they?
No, and they had players like Ginola, Cantona, Zidane, Deschamps. Squad was stacked. Absolutely stacked. And they just didn't qualify. It was honker, but...
What a kit, what a time. I know, look. For me, it was the 94 era of Adidas, being in the US, World Cup.
Yep.
It was crazy to think that they were, the US was with, a non-American manufacturer. Would have been amazing to be a Nike. Would have been, I was just making sure, I was a bit scared then. Would have been amazing for them to have Nike in the US, Portland, proud USA. But the USA jersey for 94 was amazing. They had the stripes for the away, but they had the stars for this beautiful jersey. I think this is by far the best one. Then it's the Germany one, the basket, I think people call it. It's like that sort of...
The feathered kind of design,
And then it's a similar template, but it's the iconic Adidas for Argentina. 3 amazing jerseys, and I think Adidas have done by far the best overall. And it wasn't up until that Total 90 era when Nike just said, hey, it's our turn now.
Interesting. So you mentioned the thing about Nike not jumping on the USA at the World Cup. I'm pretty sure directly or straight after that World Cup, Nike took over. Yeah. And it was like, I think it was around 96, I think the MLS started. So I think it was like, Nike were like, no, hang on. We're American. This is our jam. And you look at like the 96, 97, up until probably 2004, USA, the national team kids are sick. They're like, the materials are cool. Like, just thicker. It's a bit more like baseball inspired. It's just, I love that it's so American. I talk about it a lot. I really do like those like American, South American kits Nike did in the late 90s up until probably 2001.
Yeah, I feel like 2008, there was a big gap of just mediocre kits.
Yeah.
You see the Premier League a lot with Man United, who copped it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good to see Adidas dominating through football for many years. And
Oh, yeah.
we're going to see it for a future. Like I said, like the Jamaica jersey, Italy jersey, it's just amazing. Let's get into the next part. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Is there anything on your mind?
Yeah, so during the week, I say FFA. I don't know if it was the FFA or if it was Football Australia.
One of
them. I guess it's kind of the same, right? They announced expressions of interest for expansion into the A-League. So clubs wanting to be a part of the expansion, enter here online. It's like when clubs, I always find it funny when club sacks their coach and then all of a sudden you see it on like the local, jobs guide or like Seek or whatever.
Coach needed.
Yeah, coach required. Or, I think I saw it at Victory once. I thought it was pretty funny. It's a bit of a cracker, but like expressions of interest. So A-League expansion, pros and cons. Like, how do you feel about having a second division?
I don't mind a second division, but I don't think pro relegation will happen for many years because they need to build it. There's just no chance it's going to happen immediately.
That's what MLS and NWSL do.
Yeah, I reckon like 5 years, have two leagues, and then after 5 years, then be like, okay, this is the season. We are good to go. It is time for relegation and promotion.
Yep.
But if we're expanding the league, I would love to see, and I say this always, we probably should do a whole episode about it. I'd love to see Canberra, Wollongong, Tasmania, and maybe even Gold Coast. 4 teams back in the A-League. That's perfect for me, and then bring in the second league.
We have seen Gold Coast, obviously.
But
that's a hard one.
Miron Bleiberg, the whole thing issue there.
That was a big problem.
But I reckon, like I said, Gold Coast, Canberra, Wollongong, and then bring in Tassie.
I'd love to see Wollongong in there. I think that'd be a good one. I think I'd love to see like South Knights, like big NSL like kind of clubs, right? But it's just whether it happens or not, who knows? But even Heidelberg, like obviously Heidelberg have their other, what was the club name previous? I can't remember what it was called.
But
it was named something else. I'm thinking of Kim Montelli
Collingwood,
Doris.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Collingwood.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that.
Warriors.
Yeah, that's right. It is too. Yeah, I'd love to see more. Maybe even like geographically not so city centric. Like I know there's like it'd be cool to have some sort of like I know Wollongong's actually out of Sydney, which is probably a good one.
It's regions. It's the minority in the areas of the representation. I mean, that's what MacArthur's meant to be.
Yeah, correct.
Sydney. It's meant to represent the west of Sydney, and Sydney's meant to represent the east side.
Yeah, and I guess Western United was intended to do the same, but obviously geographically location and training facilities and stuff made that problematic. But I'm interested, like that whole second tier and having no pro rel. I think for me, pro rel is really important because I know you can see, and I've heard players say this directly. You get to the end of the A-League season, and if you're sitting last, it's like the entire senior team think we're too good for this. Don't care, completely switch off.
Yeah, it's the A-League for sure.
Yeah, and then I think if you throw pro rel into that, okay, the bottom of the second division you may get a bit of that, but I feel like at least the top division, which is going to be your main event, right? Your main focal point for the two leagues, it does give you that fight all the way through to the end. And being that, even if it's 2 leagues of 10 teams, I think there's no way that the difference between the bottom team and the next, that clearing that relegation zone is going to be that big.
Yeah.
So at least maybe up until the last 2 games, it's going to be a fight to get out. For me, that's good. I think it's amazing to have that culture within the league, but I do see the counterpoint where people say, how are clubs going to be able to afford this?
No, look, there's a big conversation around that. And one thing that I like, I don't know if you've read the J League and how they started their leagues.
Yeah.
They just got, I think it was like 72 teams, or there was like 3 pyramid schemes, so 3 different leagues of teams. They just like started creating. You need to search some of the names of these
they're
teams.
amazing, yeah.
But none of it makes sense in Japanese.
Oh, really?
A lot of them were combinations of like, I think one of the teams sound French of Ray Sol.
Yeah.
Ray's like from different country and Sol means sun. So it's like new sun.
Yeah.
Ray's like a Spanish word, Sol's like a Mexican word or something. Yeah. And it's like San French, sun got ruler or something.
But Japan has always had like a good connection to South America and Europe.
But they got inspiration from America. It's like, I can't remember, I should have done, we should do a whole episode about J League kits.
We should actually, that'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Talk about the J League football, talk about
I love
the
J-League.
demise of Japanese football, the promotion of it. I think think Japanese football is the greatest when it comes to creating a league.
Oh,
but
man.
again, I will have to say also that MLS is also on par as the best country when it comes to creating new teams.
Oh, yeah.
Like out of nowhere, Austin FC just makes the finals. Atlanta United just wins the league. You know,
Yeah.
the way they build the teams. Inter Miami, it's just so beautiful. And some of these teams and their identity beyond amazing.
And I think like looking back at the J League, I think you know we went to a couple of games over there, and I think you can see the fan culture there. Maybe because it was started in the 90s, early 90s, right?
well, yeah.
Maybe late 80s. It's been long enough where they have built a fan base and you still have that passionate support. Whereas I think the MLS is still a little bit green. I think it was kind of...
They still get so many fans.
They do really well in pulling fans. I just think the fan culture is a bit cheesy still.
Americans.
But like I think Australian and AFL have that same cheese culture with like chants and...
The AFL, yes.
Yeah.
Football's different. We're a bit purist down here. We're like, oh, that's cringe.
Yeah,
well,
but-
the MLS, you see them, they're like really proud and they're really Americanized when it comes to, Seattle.
Yeah, true.
Sorry, it's
But
Canada.
that Come On Seattle guy, like that's so funny.
Wait, Seattle?
Yeah, it's Come On Seattle. It's
Is it US or Canada? I always forget.
Oh no, US. Yeah, US. But he's like looks like his veins gonna burst out of his head. Yeah, that guy. That's so funny.
Fight and win?
Yeah, that guy. That's too good. But no, I think J League Japan. I think it is very, very cool culture. Very cool from a kit sense, especially as well.
We'll do a whole J League episode, an MLS episode for sure.
Yes.
So for you, was it sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit?
Sometimes maybe amazing. I want Pro Rail ASAP.
100%. Going into the dugouts now. So you got a Brisbane pop-up coming out next week or this week?
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. So by the time this episode goes live, it'll be like 5 days away. So yeah, this weekend, if you're in Brisbane, please get down because it's going to be awesome. It's actually a packed lineup. So X-Football, who's put it on the event, has done really well to pull together all the big dogs in the football scene, which is great. So you obviously got the boys like Unwanted, Final Third. There's a heap of boot collectors there, boot sellers. There's a couple more kit sellers as well. So it's going to be a sick event, and I'm pretty sure he's got some fun activations teed up for the pitch too, which is going to be
That's good. What's the weather like?
cooking.
Is it?
It's been a heat wave there, so I'm I know we've had a few shitty days here where it's been
Mate, that's why we're sick.
sub 16. I think that's why it's like
I'm
30,
like
30,
holding
35.
in a cough, and my voice has probably changed over time. No, that's amazing. I'm really keen for that, and of course there will be one in Melbourne in the coming months.
Yes.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to subscribe to PSV Vintage, and of course the Talking Shirt.
PSV Vintage.
PFC.
I swear you said PSV.
Nah, bro.
That's funny though. Rick will like that.
We're gonna have to do a bit of what do you call it, VAR for that.
We'll do a bit of VAR.
Yeah, like I said, Jamaica is also available here at Ultra Football. So next week we'll be talking about PSG jerseys, a whole episode about PSG.
Yes.
Let us know in the comments below what is your favorite PSG jersey. Do you have any questions about PSG?
Yeah. So fun fact, Messi. So obviously PSG have released their fourth kit.
Messi messaged you.
Messi messaged me. So fun fact, Messi fourth kit, PSG fourth kit just released. I don't know. Is that a Luna kit?
I don't know, but it did have the Luna name set.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to talk about this next week. But fun fact on that, Messi first worn PSG or match worn fourth kit sold for $57,000 US.
Wait, the actual first one?
The first fourth kit that PSG released that Messi wore for a match, which was I think last week or week before.
The actual shirt we're talking about.
The actual match worn shirt sold online to a guy in China for $57,000 US. 82K Australian if you want to convert that.
All right, that's definitely our episode topic for next week.
Let's check that out.
Yeah, like I said, make sure to subscribe to our channels. Make sure to subscribe to Ultra Football on YouTube. That's it. Like I said, Jamaica jersey is amazing. Really excited to see them in the public eye now. As of now, it's not out, but hopefully as of this episode, it'll definitely be out.
That's it.
Anything else you want to sign off?
That's it. PSV.
Stay safe, stay away from stupid people, and bye.
Bye.
Catch you later.